Welcome to episode 811 of Salsido Paranormal. I'm your host, James Salsido, and tonight I'm sharing experiences, true paranormal stories from the web. As always, you can find all episodes of the show, along with links to social media, ways to listen, and ways to support the show at the website, which is salsidoparanormal.com. That's SALSIDO paranormal.com. If you'd like to support the show, there are different ways to do that. You can always share the show with others and like and review the show. I'm forgetting all the proper terms for that now. And also, if you'd like to support the show, you can sign up for the Patreon feed where you get extra content, usually every week. Or you can also buy different pieces of merchandise from the merchandise store. T-shirts and sweatshirts and sling bags and even aprons, which is pretty amazing. Support is never expected but always appreciated, as there are expenses in making these shows. Also, please check out the links to friends of the show in every episode description. Those would be usually Jen, the Arcane Observer, who is the co-host of this show and has her own channel, and Michael Strange of Trouble Minds Radio and the Trouble Minds Radio Network, KUAP Digital Broadcasting. There you can hear replays of my shows and many other great shows 24/7. So we have something that hasn't happened in a little while. We have a submission from a listener of the show and fairly active member of the Discord server here. This is from Quantum Alchemist, and I did get their permission to share it. So that's why I'm going to share this show. We may not have a ton of time to get to many other stories here. We'll see what happens. And I'm also going to read this as well as I can, but I will make mistakes because it's it was written in the chat, and I had to copy and paste and all those things. So yeah, let me see here. I think we're good. All right. Also, if I seem a bit off tonight, I received a donation of a laptop from two amazing friends of the show as well. So I'm getting used to using that along with my desktop, and yeah, so it's amazing. It's just going to take a little while to adjust to having two screens and two keyboards and a mouse pad and a touchpad, all these things. But I just can't even say how much I appreciate the laptop, because it is going to help a lot, especially once I adjust to it and get used to using it for all these shows. So anyway, getting back to these true stories here. Again, this is from Quantum Alchemist on Discord. If you haven't joined my Discord server, please check into it and the social media posts, and I believe it's also in all my links page, but you can always also find, like I just said, on social media, mostly X or Twitter, however you want to call it. So I post the links there. And you can find my links to Twitter and on all my links as well. So, but and I think actually on the website too. Anyway, let's actually get to the story here. That's actually what we're here for. So this says, and this was in the chat. So it says, by the way, since the topic of shadow people came up again recently, and we've been talking about that not just on my show, but over on Trouble Minds Radio as well, here and there. Have I ever shared my experience with a shadow figure? I don't think I had. I don't think I did. There we go. Well, I guess partially because it was not exactly the most pleasant experience. No horror, luckily. However, I was genuinely scared during the incident. Even today, thinking about it sometimes gives me goosebumps. Partially also because to this very day, I still have no idea who or what that thing was. Anyway, for anyone interested, here is what happened. I grew up in a suburban area, and there were some woods around. More precisely, we had this large woods, and then another small section near a soccer field. Compared to the main woods, that one near the soccer field is very small. Nonetheless, probably because of its small size and manageable routes, people liked using it. It was frequently used by older people who would walk their dogs. It was summer break, and it was a nice summer day, out of a picture book, so to speak. Me and my best friend decided to take a hike in the woods, which we did. See, at the end of it, there is a section where the woods abruptly stops and it goes down steep for, I would say, 50 meters, basically like a cliff. You got a nice view from up there, too. From there, you could see a small town nearby. Kids as we were, we then decided on a whim to climb down there and go to the next town. There were roots sticking out, and we used them to climb down. Kind of stupid, I know. We could have fallen down, proceed, and seriously injured ourselves, or even killed ourselves back there. Anyway, we proceed to climb down using the roots. Worked perfectly too. We were about more than halfway down when we saw, to our dismay, that we couldn't go on. The bushes below us were full of thorns. We had to climb back up and give up on the idea altogether, which we did. Again, kind of a miracle that nothing happened. Since that didn't work out, we were done and decided to head back home and do something else. It was then when I began to notice something I can only describe as a black figure appearing here and there. It would appear, typically somewhere at the edge of my sight, be there for a few seconds, and then just disappear again. The figure looked like that of a bear, standing on two legs, pitch black and with red eyes. Later, I also heard about shadow figures and also the Mothman phenomena. What we saw there definitely was neither Mothman nor a shadow person either. Similar in the sense that, yes, the figure was pitch black. However, there was nothing like wings or anything resembling a moth. Also, the only humanoid thing about it was the fact that it stood on two legs. But other than that, it appeared like and looked like a bear. Anyway, I would see it and think nothing of it. That was the phase when I left church and became an atheist. Sorry. At this point, I didn't believe in anything, nor had any reason to. I'm going to skip this next part. It's sort of their views on religion. I don't need to get into that too much here. I was well educated and very confident in my ability to understand and rationalize the world. So when I words are hard. So when confronted with that situation, I wrote it off immediately and said to myself, right, you're imagining stuff. Happens to people all the time. So this is what imagining something is like. I see. And for me, in that moment, that was that. I thought nothing of it. And we continued on our way home. Now comes a true shocker. Halfway out of the woods, there is a spot where there is something like a gorge. There is, or at least used to be, some tree trunks lying around there too, and that spot was frequently used to take a rest. We did the same, sat down and took a small break. That is when I noticed my friend's face. He was as pale as a ghost, and clearly scared. This kind of unsettled me a bit, since my friend was of the fiery, impulsive type. Let's say in a group of kids, whenever there was a daring test, he was always the bravest among us. Anyway, as said, he is not the type to be scared. And there I am, seeing him literally pale as a ghost. I asked him what was up. Guess what? And now he literally starts to describe the exact same figure I have been seeing all along, too. Mind you, I haven't told him anything. I thought I was purely imagining things, which is why I paid no attention to that bear figure, and also didn't say anything to my friend either. And there he was describing exactly, in detail, one to one, what I was seeing. Yet, that is when I realized I am not imagining, and there is really something out there. Now I was scared too. I remember saying that we better get up and run back home as fast as we can, which we did. I also remember we ran for like 5 to 10 minutes straight, not pausing once. I was that scared and glad when I was back home again. Well, and that was, oops, there we go. That was that. End of story. That was it. Until this day, I have no idea what happened or what that thing was. Something was with us there in the woods on that day, but I can't tell you who or what it was. All I can say is it didn't feel benevolent. It kind of felt like the figure didn't want us to be there in that moment, is all I can say. What was also totally weird, and what I also noticed in retrospect afterwards. Remember what I said above about older people frequently using that woods to walk their dogs? It was literally summer break. It was literally a perfectly nice day, and it was also in the afternoon. You always meet someone in that woods, always. And be it just 1 to 2 older ladies and their dogs. However, you don't go into that woods on a perfect day and meet nobody. On that day, this is exactly what happened. Again, it was weird. Nobody was in that woods that day. Not even older people and their dogs. No other kids. No one except for me, my friend, and this strange figure. That is the next thing that was totally weird and surreal about this. The fact that we didn't meet only a single person in the woods that day. As I said, I don't know what happened or what that was. This was also the only paranormal experience I ever had. Never anything before, again, or after this. And I still don't know what happened that day, or what that weird black bear was. I mean, black as in shadow. Also, after that incident, I have been in that woods again, but never alone anymore. Still, nothing ever happened, as said. And yes, I didn't dare to go into that woods alone anymore after that experience. So that's where that one ends. Thanks again to Quantum Alchemist for sending that in, and for posting it, and then giving me permission on the Discord to share it on the shows. That is amazing. I've heard of shadow figures that appear to be the shape of a humanoid, but either tiny or huge, like a bear. Uh, I've also heard of shadow animals, and so I do wonder, was that literally meant to be the form of a bear, or just a huge person, or just is that the closest thing that uh, that Quantum Alchemist and their friend could sort of equate that to? I don't know, but uh, and also it's really odd as well the fact they said that there was no one in the woods that day. I think that's an important thing to consider, uh, because if there usually is people in that woods as they described there, then why wasn't there anyone in the woods that day? Uh, it's I I wonder if something somehow they other people in the area maybe sensed something beforehand and decided not to go. I've heard of that before of places where people just get a weird feeling and they decide I don't want to go to that area today. And it could be somewhere they go often, but they get a sense. I would be curious, and there's no way to do this, but if I could, let's say I could somehow go there and find all the people that were in the area at the time, and find out which ones usually would go to the area, and find out if they had thought about it but then decided not to. It's one of these impossible situations here. But yeah, I don't know if that's I don't know what that is about, except maybe something this figure or whatever else would have been that was there didn't want anyone to be there, and maybe again some people are more sensitive than others. Sometimes our sensitivity I think can come and go. So I wonder if Quantum Alchemist and their friend just sort of slipped through whatever maybe might have kept others away and had this encounter because of that. Uh, I also think it's amazing that they got the sense of something this figure not wanting them to be there, but also this figure didn't really attack them. And you hear that in so many accounts of other experiences out in nature and in buildings too, but especially like out in nature sometimes where whatever is out there, whoever is out there, they will frighten you. And and they will keep watching you and all of those things until you leave. But they won't do anything. Of course, there's other rare, more I think more rare examples of situations where they do. But uh, so yeah, I don't know with that. That's a really wild experience, and all those details about the people not being there. I think that's important. Uh, I wonder if maybe whoever or whatever this shadow figure was kind of thought, well, this is nice. I finally have a day uh, to myself in these woods, and then all of a sudden realizes that they don't, and just was not happy about it and wanted them to leave. I can imagine that too. So yeah, I see in the chat there. Uh, Dawn says also shadow figures with a cape. Wonder if that could look like a bear. I don't know. Yeah, I mean I guess if it's wide enough, but then I don't know. Would the arms and legs still look like the size of are the arms and legs of a bear that much bigger than a person? I think they're a bit bigger, but I don't know. Unless it's a tinier, a younger bear. But either way, uh, that is really an amazing experience. And I've heard of similar ones too. So uh, so yeah, special thanks again to Quantum Alchemist for sharing that and allowing it to be shared on the show. I really appreciate that. And just since we only have really a few minutes left here, I think we're just gonna fill this out with just a general request to everyone out there. If you had any kind of paranormal experience or experience you can't explain, you're welcome to send it in. You're welcome to write it down and send it in through email, or if you're on Discord, to find me on Discord. If you want to join Discord, you can find me on Discord and write it down and send it in. And if I can use it on the show, I will do that. And even if I can't, I can at least sort of, we can communicate back and forth, and all I can ever really do is say I've heard of this or I haven't heard of that. And so, but I can at least do that for whoever else wants to send anything in. And if you'd like it to be shared on the show, and if it does fit the general sort of feeling of the show, I will be happy to share it. So just let me know. Write down your experiences whatever you have. It doesn't matter if it's one or enough to fill a book. Funny, that's an inside joke based on a chat that I had with a friend of the show the other night. It doesn't matter. I'm happy to share whatever I can. And if it takes a few shows to share all of your experiences, if someone does have that many and you want to write in, you're welcome to do that. And I will still I will share them across multiple shows. And I have no problem with that. Or if you even want to join me on the show to talk about them, to talk about your experiences, just let me know on an email. The email is salsidoparanormal@gmail.com. That's SALSIDO paranormal@gmail.com. Let me know just briefly what kind of experience it was you had, or you can even just write it out completely there, and we can talk after, and we can still have you on the show. Those are all options, but I'm always happy to find whatever I can online. But also, I prefer, if I can, to communicate with people, and that way we can sort of go over events and get details about them. And especially on a live show, it doesn't have to be a live show, but especially on a recording of a show where you're in there with me, just audio in audio form, and we could talk about these things, because it's amazing what can come out of these experiences when you're talking with people about them. I've had that happen myself with experiences. So I've asked to be on a few different shows, a few different podcasts over the years regarding paranormal experiences, to just share mine. And I've shared a lot of the ones I've shared them on all those different shows. And the people that run all these different shows, the thing I found is it's good to share the same stories over and over again in different places, because you never know when someone will ask a question, and it'll make you think about things in a different way. And sometimes it makes things more confusing, which is still interesting. But also other times it sort of can help you figure things out to where they make maybe a little more sense. So yeah, and I'm just looking at the chat here. There's no time to cover this right now, but we'll do this in the next show. But I see the chat, and I'll get to you in the next show, Jeff. But yeah, so anyway, that's all the time we have for this episode. And thank you all for listening, and I will talk to you all next time on Salsido Paranormal. Take care.